Your lower self is lying to you right now. And the lie, it's not just keeping you stuck, it's hijacking your destiny. This voice, the one whispering doubt, fear, and logic, has been silently programming your entire life. Your choices, your emotions, even your identity. And here's the terrifying part. If you don't catch it soon, you might never hear your real self again. But what you're about to hear, this isn't motivation. It's your final wake-up call. A decoded map to the power you were born with, but taught to forget. The power to override the simulation. To remember who and what you truly are. Keep watching. Because once you see through the mask, you'll realize this wasn't just a lie, it was a trap. And this is your only way out. Right now, you're living inside a biological suit with a name tag. But you're the one piloting it. Science calls it the observer effect. Mystics call it the I am. Secret societies called it the divine spark. The ancient Egyptians encoded it in their temples, and quantum physics just confirmed it. Reality changes depending on who's watching. Translation: you're not inside the simulation, you're co-creating it. But here's the twist. If you don't remember who you are, the system runs you. But if you do, you override the program. Your lower self doesn't want that. It survives on doubt, distraction, addiction, and fear. It wants you stuck in survival mode, chasing approval, chasing comfort, chasing dopamine. Because the moment you remember you're a god in disguise, that lower self dies. So let's get something straight. You are not Gary. You are not Sharon. You are not the job title, the trauma, or the personality. You are the silent, invisible intelligence behind it all. The one watching your thoughts like a movie. The one that's never changed. Not since you were 5. Not since you were born. The one that remembers. Everything else is temporary. Costumes, code, this question mark. This is permanent, eternal. That's why mystics say, know thyself, and thou shalt know the gods. Because when you meet the real you remember you are one. Here's where it gets wild. The moment you observe your own thoughts, you break the illusion. You unplug from the matrix. You go from being inside the game to becoming the player. This is what the ancient Hermeticists knew. This is what the Gnostics tried to preserve. The secret wasn't about worshipping a god. It was about realizing you are one, trapped in flesh, sleeping in a dream. And the system? It profits from your sleep. Billions are made keeping you identified with the mask. Because once you remember who you are, you become uncontrollable, unpredictable, unprogrammable. You start creating your own reality, not reacting to someone else's. That's dangerous to the ones running the script. So why did you forget? Because you chose to. That's the next level shocker most can't handle. Your higher self chose this avatar, this timeline, this exact life. To remember yourself from scratch, to descend into illusion. So you could break out and awaken to your infinite power. This isn't punishment, it's initiation. And now, the test begins. Right now. You're being asked, will you continue playing small, thinking you're the name on your passport? Or will you answer the call and remember who and what you really are? Here's your first step. Become the observer. Start watching your thoughts like passing clouds. Don't fight them, don't follow them, just watch. And soon you'll realize you're not the storm, you're the sky. Every spiritual master, every awakened soul, every ancient teaching, they all started here. Not with a religion, not with a guru, but with a simple shift. From being the mind to witnessing the mind, from being the body to watching it move, from being the emotion to watching it rise and fall like a wave. This is the I am. The pure awareness that's always been there. It doesn't need permission, and it doesn't beg to be worthy. It simply is. And when you reconnect with that, you stop seeking outside. You start creating inside. This is where your power begins. This is where the lower self starts to panic. Because the moment you stop believing its lies, you awaken something ancient and unstoppable. Now breathe. Not as a body, not as a name, but as the eternal force. That just remembered itself. There's a parasite living inside you. It's not physical. It doesn't have a face, but it talks constantly. telling you to stay comfortable, stay small, stay scared. That parasite is your lower self, and it's been running your life from the shadows. It's the voice that says, just one more scroll. You'll start tomorrow. Why even try? It disguises itself as logic, as caution, as realism. But it's a program, hard-coded to keep you trapped in loops of survival. Your lower self isn't evil, it's ancient. It was designed for one thing: keep the body alive at all costs. Eat, sleep, reproduce, chase dopamine, avoid pain. It's the reptilian software, and most people never upgrade past it. And here's the scary part. The world is built to feed it. Fast food isn't food, it's code for the root chakra. Social media isn't connection, it's psychic warfare on your sacral center. News isn't information, it's emotional addiction for the solar plexus. They're not just distractions. They're tools to keep your consciousness trapped in the bottom 3 chakras forever. And when you're stuck in the lower 3, you can't think higher. You can't love deeply. You can't create powerfully. Because you're busy fighting ghosts, cravings, urges, fears. This is what ancient texts meant by the beast. In the book of Revelation, the beast wasn't an external monster. It was your lower nature, ungoverned, unmastered, unaligned. The animal inside you, running the show. The Freemasons knew this. The Sufis, the yogis, the Gnostics, they all warned about it. But modern society, it celebrates the beast, feeds it, glorifies it, then shames you for listening to it. It's spiritual gaslighting on a global scale. And here's the thing, you can't escape the lower self, because it's part of you, but you can transcend it. You can integrate it. You can rise above it and make it serve you. This is the path of the initiate. Not to kill the beast, but to tame it. Because when the lower self bows to the higher self, you unlock God mode. Let's talk biology for a second. Your brainstem, your survival brain, is ancient, reptilian. It reacts, it doesn't reason, it's wired for fight, flight, and feed. Then you have the limbic brain, the emotional processor. Above that, the neocortex, imagination, logic, creation. Guess where the world keeps your focus? At the bottom. Because when your energy is trapped in fear and craving, you can't access the parts of your brain that manifest miracles. Think of your energy like a currency. Wherever your focus goes, your power flows. And if your energy is leaking into lust, junk food, scrolling, rage, guess what you're creating more of? Exactly. You're building a prison and calling it reality. But here's the twist. You're not the prisoner. You're the architect. You designed the cage. Now it's time to design your escape. The ancient yogis taught that the body is a ladder. The chakras aren't woo-woo. They're biological portals, energy centers, neuroendocrine hubs. Each one governs not just physical organs, but states of consciousness. And the first 3, they're the base levels: survival, sensation, power. If your energy never rises above them, you stay in a loop of fight, feed, fear, repeat. Now pause. Have you ever noticed how the things you regret the most happen when you're operating from impulse? That's not weakness. That's being hijacked by the lower self. And until you catch it in the act, it will keep wearing your face and making your decisions. But awareness is the antidote. Start noticing the switch. When you're calm 1 second and triggered the next, that's the lower self taking the wheel. And the moment you see it, you create space. And in that space, you gain power. Power to respond instead of react. Power to pause instead of spiral. Power to observe instead of obey. This is the first weapon in your arsenal. Conscious interruption. Catch the loop. Interrupt the pattern. Use a breath, a word, a movement. It doesn't matter how. What matters is that you break the trance, because that's all the lower self is, a trance, a sleep state. And you're here to wake up. Now listen carefully. Your lower self will lie. It will whisper, "You're tired. You're not ready. You'll never be enough." But the truth is this: you've already survived everything the lower self was afraid of. You're still here, still breathing, still evolving, and now it's your turn to take back the throne. Because the lower self was never meant to lead. It was meant to serve. And when you flip that power dynamic, everything changes. You stop reacting. You start creating. You stop surviving. You start building. You stop running from shadows. And you start walking like a god. Because your mind is not neutral. It's not some blank canvas. It's a portal, a weapon, a magnet. And right now, it's either manifesting heaven or quietly constructing your own private hell. Let me be blunt. If you don't program your mind, someone else already has. From the moment you were born, you've been under psychological attack. Cartoons, classrooms, screens. They don't just teach you what to think. They teach you how to think. What's possible, what's not. Who you are, what you're worth. Every belief you hold. It started as someone else's voice, until it became your inner dialogue. But let's go deeper. Your conscious mind is just the gatekeeper. It filters maybe 5% of your day. The rest comes from the subconscious. That's the real architect of your reality. It stores everything: habits, trauma, identity, even your sense of the possible. You don't manifest what you want. You manifest what you believe, deep under the surface. That's why affirmations without inner work don't work. You can say, "I'm abundant," all day long. But if your subconscious still believes, "I'm broke and cursed," guess who wins? So here's the shocking part. Most people are running on programs they didn't choose, and then wondering why nothing ever changes. This isn't a glitch. It's the design. Let's talk science. Neuroscience confirms this. 95% of your behavior is subconscious. It runs like code, triggered by symbols, smells, tones, even memories you forgot you had. This is why trauma loops feel automatic, why addiction feels demonic, why fear shows up before logic. You're not lazy. You're not broken. You're just running a program that was installed without your permission. But here's the mind-blowing truth. If it can be programmed, it can be reprogrammed. This is where you flip the script. Your mind isn't your enemy. It's your interface. A bridge between your higher self and the physical world. Think of it like a lens. If the lens is dirty, fogged with trauma, fear, guilt, you see life as hostile. But if the lens is clean, aligned, awakened, decoded, you see possibility. You see yourself, you see God. And that's dangerous to the system, because a clear mind doesn't obey, it creates. The elites know this. That's why they flood your mind with noise, TikToks, headlines, hashtags. Not to inform you, to fill the channel, to overload your processing system until there's no space left to hear your higher self. This is psychic warfare, and your attention is the battlefield. So how do you win? You take back the control panel. Step 1. Become the observer of your thoughts, not their slave, not their victim, not their believer, the observer. Every time you witness a thought without reacting to it, you reclaim a piece of your power. Step 2. Identify the programs. Ask yourself, whose voice is this? That shame about money? Was it your parents? That fear of failure? Was it school? That self-doubt? Was it the result of betrayal by someone you thought was genuine? You can't uninstall what you haven't named. Step 3. Rewrite. Use neuroplasticity to your advantage. Every time you visualize, every time you speak new truth into your mind, you're carving new neural paths. At first, they're weak, fragile, but with repetition and feeling, they become highways, new defaults, new realities. This is how you collapse timelines. You stop being the character. You start becoming the author. Want proof? Dr. Joe Dispenza's research shows that when people shift their internal state, mentally, emotionally, energetically, their external reality bends to match it. It's not magic, it's mechanics. Thoughts plus emotion is electrical, plus magnetic is manifestation. It's alchemy, and your mind is the lab. But here's the warning. The lower self will fight back. It'll say, "This is pointless. It's too late. You've always been like this." It will mock your growth just to stay in control. That's how you know you're on the right track. When the resistance gets louder, it means you're changing the code. Here's a challenge. Tonight, before bed, don't scroll. Sit in silence and listen. You'll hear the voice of the old program, the fear, the blame, the loops. Don't argue, don't suppress, just watch it and speak a new truth back. I am not this fear, I am the one witnessing it. I am not this doubt, I am the awareness behind it. I am not this program. I am the rewriter of my mind. Say it until the voice gets quieter, and one day it will stop. And in that silence, your higher self will speak, clearly, powerfully, without hesitation. Because now it has room to land. And your body is not what you've been told. It's not a lump of flesh and blood randomly spinning through space. It's a sacred machine, a quantum temple, and it's encoded with a forgotten blueprint. To godhood, 7 seals, 7 energy centers, 7 ancient gates that unlock your full potential, one level at a time. The yogis called them chakras. The Bible called them seals. The Egyptians carved them into stone. And today, most people have no idea they even exist. You think you're tired because you didn't sleep enough. You think you're depressed because of your job. You think you're lost because you don't have a plan. But in reality, your energy system is out of sync. You're operating on 1% of your spiritual hardware, and no one ever taught you how to reboot it. Here's the truth they hid. Your body is a ladder, every chakra is a rung. And as your energy rises, so does your consciousness. Let's break the seals, one by one. Root chakra. The first gate, survival, safety, grounding. When blocked, you feel anxious, unstable, disconnected from Earth. This is why trauma gets stored in the hips. It's your body screaming for a base to stand on. And this is also why the system keeps you in financial fear and scarcity. Because a locked root equals a locked life. Sacral chakra, the pleasure center, creativity, sensuality, flow. But here's the catch. This is where the world hits you hardest. Social media, overstimulation, emotional chaos. You're leaking your creative essence into digital voids and wondering why you can't manifest. Your sacral isn't meant to be numbed, it's meant to be channeled. Solar plexus, the power core, your will, your drive, your self-esteem. This is where your inner warrior lives. But when this center is hijacked by self-doubt, people-pleasing, and shame, you forget you have the right to choose. You become a passive observer instead of an active creator. These are the lower 3. And guess what? Most people never rise above them. They live their entire lives in loops of survival, stimulation, and ego. And the system is designed to keep it that way. But if you can raise the energy higher, everything changes. Heart chakra, the center of centers. Love, compassion, unity. This is the bridge between body and spirit, earth and heaven. And here's the twist. In esoteric Christianity, the kingdom of God was never in the sky. It was always in the heart. Rearrange the word earth, and you get heart. Coincidence? Not a chance. Every depiction of Jesus, he's pointing to the chest. Why? Because heaven is not a place. It's a frequency. And love is the gate. Throat chakra, expression, truth. Creation through sound. Ever feel like you can't speak your truth? Or when you do, no one hears you? That's not a coincidence. Your throat chakra has been blocked by years of repression. Your voice is a wand. Words are spells. And when you speak from truth, you don't just influence people. You shift timelines. Third eye chakra. Vision, intuition, perception beyond the veil. This is your inner sight, your ability to see without eyes. And it's not just mysticism, it's biology. The pineal gland is real. It has photoreceptors. It produces DMT, the spirit molecule. And fluoride, stress, blue light, all designed to calcify it. Because when your third eye is open, you can't be manipulated. You see through the illusion. Crown chakra, the final gate. Connection to source, unity consciousness, the death of the ego, the rebirth of the divine self. This is where the serpent rises to meet the dove, where Kundalini meets Christ consciousness, where you remember you were never separate, just asleep. Here's what the book of Revelation really meant. And when the Lamb opened the seventh seal, there was silence in heaven. That silence is stillness, presence, unity. The moment when thought dissolves. And only I am remains, because behind these 7 seals is you, the true you, not the personality, not the performer, but the eternal witness, finally unveiled. And here's the practical truth. You don't unlock these gates by thinking about them. You unlock them by feeling through them, by healing, breathing, fasting, meditating, moving, and listening to what your body has been trying to tell you for years. This isn't New Age fluff. This is ancient spiritual science, encoded in myths, guarded in temples, mocked by modernity. Because it's that powerful. Each chakra is a layer of identity. And as you rise layer by layer, you become less of a person and more of a presence. That's ascension, not floating off the earth, but mastering the earth from within. And when your energy flows through all 7 centers without block, your body becomes a sacred antenna, receiving divine intelligence, transmitting love, manifesting effortlessly. This is why they say, when the energy rises, the God awakens. But knowing the chakras isn't enough. Feeling energy isn't enough. You need to use it, direct it, command it. Otherwise, your system stays open, but aimless. And in that space, the lower self creeps back in. Here's what they never taught you. There's a daily ritual that can recalibrate your entire energy system in just 7 minutes. It's ancient in origin, modern in delivery, and once you lock it in, your energy becomes laser-focused. Your thoughts become magnetic. Your higher self takes the wheel, and the lower self goes silent. It's called the 7-minute portal. 1 minute per gate, starting from the root, rising all the way to source. Grab a pen and paper, step into it, fully. Minute 1. Root. I am safe in the unknown. Sit or stand in stillness. Close your eyes. Feel the base of your spine. Breathe deep and slow. Repeat, silently or aloud. I am grounded. I am stable. I am supported in every dimension. Visualize red light pulsing downward like roots anchoring into the earth. Let the fear of survival dissolve. Minute 2. Sacral, I create without permission. Shift awareness to just below the navel. Breathe into your lower abdomen. Repeat. My energy is sacred. My emotions are divine intelligence. I create what I desire. Visualize warm orange light spinning and flowing freely. Let go of overstimulation. Reclaim your creative force. Minute 3. Solar plexus. I decide who I am. Place awareness in the center of your stomach. Straighten your spine. Repeat, I am power. I am purpose. I command my destiny. Visualize a golden sphere expanding from your core. This is your will, not the world's. Own it. Minute 4. Heart. I am the bridge. Place your hands on your chest. Inhale deeply. Repeat. I open my heart without fear. I love without attachment. I am connected to all. See green light expanding in waves. Feel yourself soften and strengthen at the same time. Minute 5. Throat. I speak reality into being. Bring focus to your throat. Breathe in, then exhale with intention, a steady, soft sound. Repeat. My voice is truth. My words are spells. I speak only from alignment. See blue light radiating outward. This is not just expression. This is frequency shaping form. Minute 6. Third eye. I see beyond the illusion. Gently focus between your brows. No tension, just presence. Repeat, I see clearly. I trust my inner vision. I remember what others forget. Visualize indigo light expanding outward. Insight begins where logic ends. Let it come. Minute 7. Crown. I am the one. Now focus at the top of your head. Breathe with reverence as if listening to something holy. Repeat. I surrender to the divine within. I am not separate. I am source in form. See white or violet light pouring down through your crown like a waterfall. Let the energy from all centers rise, unify, and dissolve into stillness. Close the portal. Integrate the upgrade. Sit in silence for 30 seconds. No repetition. No visualizing. Just be. Let your body lock in the shift. Let your nervous system catch up to your soul. No longer a seeker. Now, a transmitter. Then stand, walk, breathe. Do the most ordinary thing and with extraordinary presence. Let the first action of your day be a declaration. The God within is online. Repeat this process every morning. Before the noise, before the programming, before the world tries to write your story. This is how you reclaim authorship. This is how you destroy unconscious cycles. This is how you stop reacting and start creating from the highest frequency available. You don't need more information. You need integration. And it begins here. 7 minutes, 7 gates, 1 awakening. There's a reason you always feel drained after endless distractions. There's a reason you feel foggy, unfocused, unmotivated, like your fire's gone out. And there's a reason that no matter how much you rest, you never feel recharged. Because your energy, your vital life force, is being leaked. Not physically, energetically. In ancient systems, this energy was sacred. The Taoists called it Jing. The yogis called it Ojas. The Egyptians saw it as Ka, your divine charge. And modern science? It calls it bioelectrical potential. Same principle. Your body is a battery. And what you do every day either drains it or supercharges it. Every time you chase quick pleasure. Every time you scroll mindlessly, overstimulate your nervous system, or avoid silence, you burn that fuel. And the lower self loves that. Because as long as you're low on energy, you stay low in consciousness. You react, you obey, you collapse. But what happens when you learn to retain it, to harness it, to channel it upward into creativity, clarity, intuition, vision? You enter the realm of the higher self, not just in theory, in chemistry. Let's talk physiology. Your brain and spine are connected through a superhighway of cerebrospinal fluid. Every month, your body produces a subtle fluid, a sacred oil, hidden in ancient texts. Early mystics called it the Christos, the anointing within. It travels down the spine, and if preserved and protected, it can ascend back up. What happens when it reaches the brain? You get bursts of inspiration. You think more clearly. You feel more aligned. Ancient Christians called this the real resurrection, not of the body, but of the mind. This is what Da Vinci, Tesla, and ascetic sages across all traditions understood. True genius is not taught. It's activated, and it requires energy conservation. Now, don't confuse this with repression. This isn't about denial. It's about direction. It's about turning scattered energy into focused fire. That's energy transmutation. Here's how it works. That same energy you feel as impulse or restlessness, it's raw power. And if you learn to breathe through it, move with it, redirect it, it fuels your best work, deepest intuition, and highest self-expression. You want to write a book, build a business, create art that moves people. That power is already inside you. But if you keep trading it for short-term stimulation, it stays dormant, buried, wasted. This is the real reason ancient initiates practiced fasting, silence, movement, and meditation. Not to suffer, but to refine their energy, to build up their internal voltage until it lit up their entire system. They weren't escaping the world, they were mastering it from the inside out. And here's the truth. Once your energy rises above the lower centers, those tied to survival, comfort, and control, it starts awakening the higher centers. The heart opens, the mind clears, the crown connects. Suddenly, ideas just land. You see the path. You feel the right moves. You stop second-guessing and start knowing. This is how you enter flow states. This is how you align with divine timing. This is how you start bending reality. Want a simple technique to start? Breathe through the energy. When you feel restless, unfocused, or reactive, don't distract yourself. Close your eyes. Breathe deeply, slowly. Imagine the energy in your core rising up your spine like golden light. With each breath, move it higher, from the base to the brain. Feel it activate your creativity, your clarity, your calm. Do this for just 3 minutes a day, and watch how you feel after a week. You're not here to burn out. You're here to light up. Because your body isn't just a vessel, it's a generator. And when you learn to manage its energy, you awaken your hidden genius. That's what they don't want you to know. They want you drained, distracted, reactive. But the higher self, it's focused, creative, electrified with purpose. This isn't about saying no to the world. It's about saying yes to your real potential. The part of you that already knows you're destined for more. The part of you that was never meant to survive, but to ascend. Energy transmutation is your birthright. It's your inner alchemy. It's how you go from noise to mastery. So here's your challenge. Guard your energy like treasure. Direct it like a laser. Use it like a king. And build your world like a god. And your emotions aren't random. They're not weaknesses. They're not something to suppress, escape, or apologize for. Your emotions are your internal technology. But if you don't understand them, they'll turn into weapons against yourself. Here's what no one tells you. Every emotion is energy in motion, emotion. It's the language your body speaks before thought even arrives. And if you're not fluent in that language, you get trapped in feedback loops, repeating the same patterns, feeling the same things, calling it fate. This is where the lower self thrives. It hijacks your emotional system. It takes a passing thought and turns it into shame. A moment of doubt becomes a spiral. An old memory becomes your identity. And because you feel it, you believe it's true. But it's not. It's just unprocessed energy, still looking for resolution. Now here's the deeper truth. Emotion is a creative force. In fact, it's the fuel behind every manifestation. Thoughts are the blueprint, but emotion is the engine. What you feel consistently, you attract. What you suppress, you project. What you embody, you become. This isn't New Age fluff. It's backed by real psychology, neuroscience, and spiritual law. Dr. David Hawkins, in his Map of Consciousness, showed how every emotion holds a measurable frequency. Shame and guilt are at the bottom, lowest vibration. Anger is higher. Courage is the tipping point. And love, joy, peace, they're the frequencies that shape miracles. So the question is simple. Where are you vibrating from? If you live in fear, you'll subconsciously create experiences that confirm it. Why? Because your nervous system seeks familiarity, even if it's painful. That's why people recreate the same relationships, the same failures, the same breakdowns, not because they're cursed, but because their emotional signature hasn't changed. And here's the good news. You can change it. Step 1. Stop being afraid of how you feel. Emotions aren't facts, they're feedback. You're not angry. You're experiencing the vibration of anger. You're not broken. You're experiencing a signal that something inside you is asking to be heard. Every emotion is a messenger. And if you silence it, it will return louder, usually through the body. This is how energy turns into illness. Suppressed emotion doesn't disappear. It gets stored in your tissues, your organs, your cells. But when you feel through it consciously, you move it. You transmute it. You reclaim your energy. So how do you take emotional sovereignty? Step 1. Name it. Labeling an emotion reduces its charge by almost 50%. This is neuroscience. When you say, I feel angry instead of I'm angry, you create distance. You become the observer again. Step 2. Feel it fully. Not for hours, not for drama, for integration. Set a timer for 90 seconds. Close your eyes. Breathe into the emotion without the story. Let it rise, peak, and pass. Step 3. Reframe it. Ask, what is this emotion here to show me? What unmet need or old story is it surfacing? Use it as intel, not as identity, because emotions are not problems. They're power. They're the bridge between the subconscious and the soul. And if you learn to work with them instead of against them, they become allies in your evolution. This is the real meaning of emotional intelligence. Not just staying calm, but staying conscious. Now here's the twist. You can use elevated emotions to rewire your future. Yes, literally. When you pair an intentional thought, like, I am free, I am whole, I am powerful, with a matching emotion, gratitude, peace, or love, your brain believes it's already true. You collapse the gap between desire and reality. You signal to your subconscious, this is who I am now. And the universe responds in kind. This is why gratitude before the miracle brings the miracle. This is why joy in the void invites the vision. Not because you tricked the system, but because you aligned with it. So here's your daily practice. Every morning, pick one emotion you want to live from. Courage, peace, love. Then spend 3 minutes feeling it on purpose. No reason, no trigger. Just breathe into the feeling. And let your body practice the frequency. You do that consistently, and your nervous system will recalibrate. Your baseline will shift, and life will start mirroring your internal world instead of the other way around. This is emotional alchemy. This is the real magic. This is how you move the universe from the inside out. So remember, your emotions are not the enemy. They're not obstacles, they're invitations. To rise, to release, to remember. The higher self is not a theory. It's not a vibe. It's not some mystical idea floating in the clouds. It's a living frequency, and it already exists, as you. But here's the trap. Most people think their higher self is something to become, a future version of them. Someday, when they're healed, when they're ready, when they're finally good enough. That's the lie. That's the lower self in disguise, selling you a future that keeps you powerless now. Here's the truth they don't teach in school. The higher self is not something you chase. It's something you choose. Right now. in this moment, in how you speak, how you breathe, how you move through your day. So let's get precise. Who is your higher self? It's the version of you that already knows the path. The one that isn't reactive, isn't rushed, isn't addicted to drama or distraction. It's calm, focused, generous, creative. It sees life through the lens of expansion. It chooses based on vision, not fear. The higher self doesn't beg. It broadcasts. It doesn't chase. It attracts. It doesn't force. It flows. And the wild part? You've already met this version of you. You've had moments, however brief, where time disappeared, clarity clicked, and you just knew what to do. That wasn't luck. That was you, unfiltered. Your job now is to make that your baseline. How? Step 1. Craft the identity. Write down exactly who your higher self is, how they wake up, how they speak, what they tolerate, what they believe about money, love, purpose, and power. Don't filter it. Design it. Build it like a blueprint. Not just how they act, but how they feel. What's their dominant energy? What's their inner monologue? This isn't imagination. This is identity engineering. Step 2, bridge the gap with action. Now pick one behavior from that version of you and do it today, even if it's just 60 seconds. A new morning ritual, a new boundary, a new posture. Every action you take from your higher self's energy is a vote for that reality. And over time, you stack those votes, and the old self, it dissolves. Step 3, train your nervous system. The only reason you don't live as your higher self all the time is because your nervous system is still calibrated to fear, not faith. So you have to train it. When you feel discomfort, pause, breathe, and ask, what would my higher self do right now? Then do it. Even if it's messy, even if your voice shakes. That's where the shift happens. Not in the idea, but in the embodiment. Now here's the metaphysical truth behind all of this. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. And when you become the energetic match to your higher self, life bends around you. People treat you differently. Opportunities feel magnetic. Time stretches. Synchronicity becomes normal. Why? Because you're no longer creating from the conditioned self. You're creating from the source-connected self. This is what Neville Goddard called living in the end. You assume the identity before it shows up. You feel it now. You act as if, not pretending, but embodying the truth that your higher self isn't coming. It's already here. You just have to tune to its frequency. And here's the last key. The higher self doesn't operate alone. It collaborates with something bigger. Call it Source, the universe, God, the field. Whatever name you give it, it's listening. And it mirrors back your dominant state. So when you walk, talk, and decide like your highest self, you send out a new signal. And that signal reorganizes reality around your intention. That's not magic. It's mechanics. And it starts with a decision. Not, how do I become? But how do I remember and return? Because the truth is, the higher self isn't the future you. It's the real you. Before the world told you who to be. And now, you remember. This world isn't what it seems. It never was. You were born into a beautifully designed illusion. A matrix of distractions, systems, identities, and scripts. But you were never meant to stay asleep. You came here to remember. The matrix isn't made of machines. It's made of beliefs. Beliefs that tell you what's possible, what's not, what's normal, what's real. Beliefs designed to disconnect you from your own divine authority. Beliefs that shrink you down and make you forget that you were never a character in the game. You were always the coder. The lower self, it's not just a voice inside your head. It's the operating system of the simulation. It keeps you looping through survival, fear, craving, comparison, guilt. Because as long as you stay in those frequencies, you can be predicted, controlled, farmed. But the moment you remember who you are, truly remember, the matrix can't hold you. This is what the mystics meant by liberation. This is what Jesus meant when he said, "The kingdom of God is within you." This is what the Buddha found when he dropped the illusions of self and separateness. This is what the ancient initiates were trained to embody, through symbol, silence, and sacred inner work, not escape, mastery. Because when you master your energy, your thoughts, your emotions, and your identity, you don't leave the world, you reshape it. This is the secret of the great work, not to transcend the body, but to infuse it with spirit, to bring heaven into matter, to unify what's been split. And it starts with oneness. You are not separate from anyone you meet, not the stranger, not the enemy, not even the lower self. Everything is you, expressed in different forms, different timelines, different levels of remembrance. This is why the golden rule is so powerful. Treat others as yourself, because they are. When you realize that every person is a mirror, you stop judging, you start integrating, and your energy expands like a ripple across reality itself. The final illusion is division, money, status, identity, even life and death. These are costumes, experiences, not you. You are the field of consciousness, observing all of it. The awareness behind the mask, the director behind the script, the artist in the dream. So what now? You've seen behind the curtain. You know how the lower self works, the lies, the loops, the traps. You know how to reclaim your mind, your energy, your emotions, your identity. You've remembered the higher self and stepped into its frequency. Now, you become the living embodiment of everything you've reclaimed. Not through perfection, not through ego, but through presence, through alignment, through moment-by-moment choice. Because every single moment is a portal, a fork in the road. The lower self will still whisper. But now, you know how to listen beyond it. That's freedom. Not the absence of challenge, but the presence of awareness. And when you live from that place, you become unstoppable. Not loud, not aggressive, but rooted, peaceful, magnetic. Because now, you don't need to prove anything. You already are. You've become the presence that bends timelines. You've become the frequency that reprograms reality. You've become the God you were told to worship, and now it's time to live like it. So breathe. Not as a victim, not as a seeker, not as a name, a role, or a brand, but as the creator, the one, the source, in form. And the next time the lower self tries to take the wheel, just smile. Because now you know the truth. It was never you. You were always the light behind the mask. The intelligence behind the thought. The stillness behind the storm. And now, you've remembered. Welcome back. If this hit your soul, don't just scroll. Like, comment, and subscribe if you're done playing small and ready to rise as the creator. I drop messages like this often, and if you want more, join my free newsletter and soul-driven community below. We're building something real. No fluff, no masks, just evolution. Tomorrow is another chance to win from your lower self. And you've got this. Step in with clarity, with power, with purpose. Drop a comment. Winner's mentality only. If you're claiming that victory energy for tomorrow, let's move different now. You remember who you are. Let's go.